Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachaha Kodash. I want to give double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone well, as well as peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect, our Unzahad SpiritwindLevi. And today I want to go into a topic entitled "The Leaders of This People Cause Them to Err." All right, and I'm gonna make an effort to keep it, face value. I've been meditating on doing more Bible basics, and this may or may not be classified as a basic, but it's pretty comprehensible. It's nothing that you got to go into a deep break, just sit there and overthink. It says in Isaiah 3, "As for my people, children are their oppressors and women rule over them." And we know the children is Esau, Edom. They came out of the dark nations. If you look up that word children, if you look at in the book of Job where it says they that are younger than I, one of the definitions for younger is somebody that's in indignance. They don't have morals, because the Most High assesses really a man's value and who he is based off his character, as opposed to this Western world where you're really assessed based off some fucking money, material things. But going back to the topic, the leaders of this people cause them to err. And going back to Isaiah 3, "As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them." Now, there was this Jake on Instagram breaking down the hierarchy in the so-called black community. And it was basically breaking it down from the so-called black grandmother to the mother, and it was basically a hierarchy of women. The last people on the pecking order were Israelite men. But it's so fucking backwards, because the men are leaders. But in the so-called black community, the leaders are women. And this was set up by Esau, Edom to destroy our nation, man. And that's why you have a nation full of messed up people, man. All right? The worst thing you can do is put Eve at the top of your nation. Put a woman at the top of your nation, but Eve, man. And Eve has been engineered, and she has Satan in her, man. Eve has Satan in her. And from what I've experienced, man, I have the scriptures. Eve has a deep-seated hatred for Jake. And what Eve really wants to do is to conquer you, overthrow you. And I'm not even just talking about bitches in a relationship. Eve wants to have dominance over you. She wants to dominate you and treat you like a lowlife, man. Because she's a white supremacist, man. All right, but furthermore, she's overthrowing her nation. Eve wants to overthrow her fucking nation, man. All right, and the reason why you have something called a YN, which is a young nigga, the reason why you have this shit because of orphanages, man, or orphanage. It's like an orphanage, but it's a orphanage. It's a place where single mothers get assistance by the government by popping out babies with no fathers, man. All right. So orphanage, man. Eve get in heat. She popped the babies out expecting welfare assistance. And she replaced a quality life in a nuclear family for fucking welfare assistance, man. You see? And are there good, hardworking people on government assistance? For sure. All right? Are there women who, for whatever reason, they just genuinely didn't work out? Yeah, for sure. But you also have women who, man, they just fucking. And they know that they'll be taken care of by the government, man. Hey, shout out Donald Trump, man. All right? Because a lot of people, first of all, a lot of women are going to lose their jobs. A lot of people are going to lose their jobs. But a lot of women are going to lose their jobs. And they're definitely going to cut welfare assistance, man. All right? But the reason why Jake is fucked up, because he was raised in a matriarch, man. For example, you have the movie called Big Mama, right? A black culture classic. And one thing that they pointed out in the show Boondocks, all right, Big Mama was the matriarch. She was the head of the so-called black family, right? And the same food that gave Big Mama diabetes and unalived her was the same food they prepared in commemoration for Big Mama. All right? In the words of David Ruffin, y'all a bunch of fucking mama's boys, man. You know? You see? Worshiping a woman really goes back to the Queen of Heaven. All right? Semiramis, Diana. As it says in the book of Acts, we only have one God, and that's Diana. All right? Hey, that's why everybody, on a side note, that's why everybody loves Selena, man. Selena goes back to moon goddess. They had her under the vibration of the Queen of Heaven. All right? Because Northern Kingdom is under that vagina worshiping vibration too. Real men want power, and men are builders. See, the matriarch makes so-called black men seem useless, because through feminism, all right, a black man, so-called black man, is nothing but a producer. He's just there to make the baby, give the pleasure and make the baby, and in turn it makes our nation look like the men are useless, like they have no value, because best believe Eve is a so-called white supremacist. All right, but long story short, that's because they're the matriarch. See, the patriarch groomed to be builders. All right, you look at the Amish, right? That's a patriarch. But you got a bunch of young men that can build a house at a young age. They go into apprenticeship at like what, 14, maybe even younger. But I think after the 8th grade, they go into apprenticeship, man. So they have a skill. They develop a skill at like 14. If I'm not mistaken, that's the age. I could be wrong on the age. But they go into apprenticeship at a young age, man. So by the time, and I've ran across people, man, especially Edomites, that they started working on projects with their father, right? Of course, because the father or the uncle might have owned a certain company. So by the time they're 21, they can rebuild a restroom, they can build a patio, a deck. All right, that's what the patriarch does. It turns men into productive builders, man. A bitch ain't turning a boy or her son into shit but a killer. And a useless nigga, man. Okay? See, they demonize the word patriarch, but the patriarch generates builders. So the average young man, by the time he's 20, he should know how to fucking chop down a tree. He should be able to take his, by the time he's 20, he should have a skill, all right? And by the time, I don't know, 30 years old, he should be able to LLC his skill, man, all right? A man is a builder, okay? If men play sports, they have fun, but a man is supposed to have a specialty. You see? Now you got niggas with no skill, all right? They have no trade, they have no fucking specialty, but they can rap their ass off. They just rappers. Or scammers, even worse. Okay? So the matriarch, hey, is that they that lead them cause them to err, man. Yeah, Eve, the woman, is over you, man. And and now you have to heal from that shit. All right? Because the head of the woman is Esau. All right? Now you have to heal from that shit, man. And what I've noticed, a lot of men don't know their value. They have a poor self-image. They don't know their potential. All right. They're afraid to step outside their comfort zone. All right, because they've never been challenged. They've never been pushed. Hey, shalom, shalom. They've never been challenged. They've never been pushed, man. You see? But nah, you take a man, right? You take a man, a real man. Whether it's the father, the uncles, or whatever, man. And if you have a patriarch, you have an environment full of productive men, then those little boys are going to take on the trade of the men around them. So you have little boys, they start installing toilets and uninstalling toilets at like 10 years old, man. They cutting grass at 9, 10 years old. You see? All right? Like I said, the average so-called black man is not supposed to be a fucking bum or unemployed motherfucker or whatever, man. Or even working in some fucking minimum wage job, man, that doesn't require a skill. The average man is supposed to have a skill. All right? Like I got this 18-wheeler passing me, man. Yeah, you supposed to come out of high school ready to get your CDL. Come out of high school ready to work in HVAC, installing AC units, man. All right? Because the patriarch, it produces builders. But on a broader level, the patriarch creates a nation. It's a nation full of builders. Because every nation is supposed to be able to self-sustain. And with the nation of Israel, especially Southern Kingdom, in America, they cannot self-sustain, meaning they don't have a system to where, first of all, we have the laws implemented, right? And this is going to happen in the kingdom, but it is something ideally that I'm talking about. They don't have the laws implemented to regulate and govern our people. But then pursuant to Sirach 38, one of my favorite chapters concerning this topic, we don't have a system of farmers. We don't have a system of blacksmiths. All right, now if you go into the Amish, the main trades they have is farmers, blacksmiths, okay? All right, you go back into the scriptures in Sirach 38, potters, all right? And there's one more, farmers, blacksmiths, potters. There's might be one more, but it goes on to say, ultimately, without these should not a city be inhabited. But these are usually men's jobs, men's trades. The scriptures, Yahushai's father was a carpenter. All right, you have merchants in the scriptures. And what happens is, men, they sell their trades. They sell their service. They sell their service. See, a lot of jobs are going to get replaced by AI, man. All right, Jake is not in the blueprint of the New World Order. All right? But men, they sell their service. In turn, they take care of their families. And, you know, you have men that, you have women that can do it, and men who are skilled also in making garments. You have men that are herbalists, which are physicians. You have men that they produce. They have land, and they have the land produces crops. All right, and then you have a marketplace where you sell your product. There is no Walmart. There is no Kroger. There is no Big Lots. There is no Captain D's, man. All right, this is how you self-sustain. Everybody in the nation has a product they sell. All right. And they sell it at the marketplace, the farmer's market. That's why they call it the farmer's market. But that's your economy, okay? And this, see, like I said, in America, the matriarch within the nigger community, it makes it seem as though the so-called black man is just useless. He's just a nigger. And Eve, the way she looks at men through her feminist lenses, he's just there for pleasure, all right, or for money, or to bring a baby into this world. And the matriarch takes hold of the baby, and the baby adopts the mindset of the matriarch. But look what you have. You have a nation full of failed men who've fallen victim to the system. All right, because also in Sirach, it says, he that teaches his son grieveth the enemy. Okay? He that teaches his son grieveth the enemy. All right, but that's the freaking point, man. That's pretty much the point. Till the next time, shalom.